Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be watching TikTok scary stories. Now go and check out the product of the day. It's in the description. It's the first thing in the description. See what you can get. So we're just going to dive in.
What is one of the creepiest things a kid has ever said to you? I'll go first. When my daughter was almost 3 years old, she told me and my godmother a story. We were at my godmother's house and we were working on a Halloween/birthday costume for my daughter. We're taking her measurements and cutting fabric, and she randomly looks at us and she asks us where her mom is. I tell her, "You're being crazy. Like, I'm your mama. What are you talking about?" Thought maybe she was confused because I call my mom, so maybe she's looking for her grandma. While I'm saying I'm your mama, she cuts me off and says, "Oh, she's dead." Me and my godmother are looking at each other like, what? My daughter told us, "My mom is unalive and I live with my aunt." And where's my aunt? I'm like, hold on, what are you talking about? She straight up tells us that she was alive in 1438. She's probably telling us some weird shit about a past life, so I start questioning her. She keeps making sounds that are like Thessaloniki, and she says that her name is Arthnesanya. I'm writing everything down because I'm like, this is freaking crazy and I don't want to forget it. Because she didn't speak very well, I don't know what the hell she was talking about. I tried to do research on the places and the names that she mentioned, but I couldn't find anything. So if there is a town called like Thessaloniki or something in 1438, let me know. She told me her aunt was really mean to her and that her aunt ended up unaliving too. And that was it. She just stopped talking about it. And I kept trying to like ask her more questions and she wouldn't say anything else. It was just like she had this little brain moment that just sped off a whole bunch of random information and then it completely shut off after that. She's 9 now and she has no recollection of any of this.
I've heard about the past lives and coming out. There's this lady, I can't think of her name, but every time I see her on YouTube, she does like manifesting and stuff like that, and how to win the lottery and stuff, like how to always win. I know y'all seen this lady. She reminds me of Julia, the cooking lady. I can't think of her name right now. I'm just having a brain fart. But she I think she was a therapist that tuned into people's before lives and previous lives and all this stuff. It reminds me of that. It reminds me of this story of this little boy who, I guess when he was younger, he was his granddad. His granddad came back as him. It's his granddad in him, and he was just telling all this stuff that only his granddad would know. Like he had passed before he was born, and then he was born, and saying all this stuff. And he was like, "I'm your granddad, basically. I'm the little boy's granddad." And he was just recalling all this information that only the granddad would know and everything. It was just like, wow. So maybe that was reincarnation, and before they get to that point, while they're still innocent, they still remember all this stuff from their past life, and once they hit that age, they forget everything. That's how it was with that little boy who was his granddad. He got to a certain age, like his parents was asking him all this stuff, and it was lining up. It was like no way he could have known because he was a baby. He was like 3 or something, so it's not like he could go and do his own research, and it wasn't like nobody was talking about it because nobody knew about it because it was before their time. So yeah, maybe it was like that. I mean, kids say the darndest thing, the scariest thing sometimes. If a kid say something scary to you, leave that kid. No, I'm just I don't know if I would just be asking questions to find out more stuff. No. I think I would just be like, okay, let's do something else. Let's do something. You ain't about to scare me. We both sitting up here scared. Oh, well, I'm scared and you just are unaware of what's going on. No, that's not going to happen. That's what we're not going to do, okay? Y'all, you ask the little kids some questions if you want to. They'll tell you the truth. They'll tell you the truth. You want to find out.
Okay, I got one because me and my dad literally just talked about this story like recently, and it still creeps me out to this day. So my dad's best friend, my Uncle Marshall, um, this is someone that him and my dad, they grew up together in Nigeria, all from childhood till they graduated high school. When they graduated high school, my Uncle Marshall came to America, and once he got here, he did everything in his power to get my dad over here, which he did. So yeah, thick as thieves, besties. So around the time when I was like 5 or 6, my Uncle Marshall is always at the house, like was always at the house because him and my dad, they were young, so they were always like drinking, partying, all of that. And if my uncle was, too drunk to drive, he would just be on our couch. He would fall asleep on our couch, whatever that may be. He was always there. Even if they weren't going out and it was just late, he would just, like, I just knew, like, Uncle Marshall, he'd be on the couch. He'd be asleep on the couch. One thing though that I looked forward to whenever he did stay the night, even whenever he just came over, he really loved me and my siblings. Like, he would, if the ice cream truck was outside, he's the one like, come on, let's go. Like, to go get us ice cream. He's always bringing over like sweets, candies, all of those things for us, presents, all of that. So, anytime I know that he's there, I know that when he wakes up, we're going to get like some good stuff. But unfortunately, my uncle ended up getting cancer. And so I remember, again, around like age 5, 6, us going to the hospital to go see him. He was up, he was talking, like he was fine and all of that. And yeah, I just remember thinking, because I was so young, I wasn't really understanding like what cancer, I didn't know what cancer was. So to me, I'm like, okay, he's sick. I get that, but he's in the hospital, so he's going to be okay. I didn't understand like any other alternative to not being okay. So maybe like a week or two after the hospital visit, one night I wake up and, just want to go lay in my parents' bed. Just wanted to go lay with them. And so as I'm leaving my room, I am walking past the living room and I see Uncle Marshall on the couch. He's laying on the couch. And at first, I wasn't sure if it was him because I didn't remember him coming over the night before. So I look closer and it's dark because it's nighttime. I look closer and then he looks up at me. And so I'm like, oh, that is Uncle Marshall. He looks up and he just like waves. And I'm like, and then I'm like, I get excited because I'm like, oh yes, he's here. We're gonna get some good stuff in the morning. So I was kind of excited to see him. So after I did my wave, I kept going and went to my parents' room. So once I got in the bed, so I'm trying to squeeze in between my parents or whatever. And so it wakes up my dad. My dad wakes up and yeah, so I'm like trying to snuggle with him and I just tell him like, "Oh, Uncle Marshall is here. He's on the couch." And my dad's like, "What?" I was like, "Uncle Marshall, he's on the couch." He was like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like trying to say it again cuz I'm confused like, "Are you not understanding me? Uncle Marshall's here." And as I'm saying that, literally the phone starts ringing. So my dad picks up the phone and it's literally the hospital letting him know that my Uncle Marshall had passed. So now my dad is like hysterical. He's waking up my mom and they're both like saying, that he's gone. And I'm like, I'm still not getting it. I'm like, he's on the couch. And my dad keeps like tell like what am I talking about? We get up, we go into the living room. He's not there because he's at the hospital. Yeah. So my dad kept asking me, like, what did you see? What did you see? I was like, I started getting scared. I'm like, I saw him. He waved at me. He was on the couch. Like, I was not getting it. So, yeah. So that was my first encounter seeing paranormal. Rest in peace, to my uncle. That was the last time I saw him, but apparently he did come back again to like other people. That's like a whole nother story. Like if you're Nigerian, you already know it's a mess. It's a longer story, but that was my interaction. A lot of people were like, no, you might have dreamt it, but I was like, there was no reason. Why would I literally wake up out of my sleep, see him, wave at him, and 2 minutes later, we get the phone call that he's gone. I don't know, but creepy.
I really do believe that she saw him before he passed over. He was probably came back and been like, "Well, let me make sure I got all my stuff out of this place," because I that probably was his last like resting place when he was like healthy. He was like, "Oh, I remember going to this couch. Let me go back to the couch. Like this is where I was. This is where I'm supposed to be." You never know. But that's really sweet that she saw him and was just like, "Hey, how you doing?" And then it became sad when she told her dad. And then when the dad got the phone call, I can't even imagine how her dad felt. Because that's his best friend, like childhood friend. Oh, that's so saddening.
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true.
My house is super haunted, so I'm just going to tell you a really short story that has always stuck with me. When I was a junior in high school, I woke up in the middle of the night in my bed alone to a voice telling me that I was the chosen one. Now, I never told anyone about that because it obviously sounds like sleep paralysis. Until a few years later, I'm catching up with a friend from high school. She tells me this story that one night she had slept in my bed while I slept in the living room, and she had woken up in the middle of the night to a voice telling her that it had plans for her.
So was that ghost just talking to anybody they could talk to? They were just in the room, just like, you get a challenge, you get a journey, you get to do something I need you to do. Like, no, friend, if I was your friend and that happened to me while I was at your house, ooh, those are some fighting things. Like, I would probably fight you. I'll be that scared and that upset that you didn't share, that you had this experience and you let me sleep in that room by myself, honey. I would have woke up fighting. You would have got these hands because ain't no freaking way. Like, no, honey. I know when I was a child, I was a little scary. I was a little scaredy cat. So yeah. Fighting actions. Because what are we doing? You are not a good friend. You left me in there by myself and that happened to you. Well, I guess it didn't happen often to you. It was just one time. But that was enough. Like, I would never come back over your house ever again. Like, ooh, stop it. Stop it. Subscribe.